I call the honourable member Philip Twyford.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Labor is supporting this bill. As the previous speaker commented, this has been a difficult and challenging situation, I think, for all concerned. No one likes validating legislation for good reason. In this case, wrongs have certainly been done, and in the years from 2006, the Kaipara District Council have repeatedly breached the Local Government Act and the Rating Act in a long list of instances that revolve around the setting of rates and a series of failures in relation to adopting annual reports, long-term plans and carrying out special consultative procedures under the Local Government Act. The borrowing for the ill-fated Mangawhai wastewater scheme blew out, as the member stated, from $11 million to $62 million. The effect of that scheme and the financing has placed a massive financial burden on a small number of ratepayers, particularly those ratepayers in Mangawhai. So what's the situation we've got, sir? Years of subpar governance in the Kaipara district, a massive debt blowout, allegations of impropriety, and a rates strike by the Mangawhai ratepayers group. And as a result of that, the council's finances grinding to a halt. So what should happen from the point of view of government? Well, Mike Sabin brought a bill to this House on behalf of the Kaipara District Council and the government-installed commissioners, which seeks to validate a series of unlawful acts by that council in the setting of rates. And the commissioners want those unlawful acts validated retrospectively, so the rates demands of the last few years are legalised, and so that the rates strike being held by the ratepayers of Mangawhai is brought to an end, so that the commissioners can sort out the finances. That's what they want. The aggrieved ratepayers of Mangawhai have bitterly opposed this bill, and their argument, which has some merit in my view, is that once the unlawful actions have been validated and the rates legalised and the rate strike brought to an end, their leverage to try to achieve a broad, legitimate and fair solution will be greatly reduced. And I have a great deal of sympathy with that argument. The wider issues here that are outside the scope of this bill do need to be addressed. The basis on which the wastewater scheme was commissioned and financed, the decision to expand the scheme and increase the borrowings, and the levels of debt incurred. On the other hand, Mr Speaker, the Kaipara district does need to move forward. And I've concluded on the basis of the submissions and the discussions that we had at Select Committee that there are three key elements that have to be part of a settlement of this issue. The first is that if there is found to have been negligence or corruption involved in the governance of Kaipara District Council, and if the report of the Auditor General does uncover culpability of that nature, then the wrongdoers must be held accountable. And I take some assurance from the unanimous cross-party agreement on the Select Committee that is included in the report attached to this bill, that we expect the government to hold those people accountable if the Auditor General's report finds wrongdoing of that nature. The second, sir, is that the Mangawhai ratepayers group must not be punished for blowing the whistle. There were wrongdoings committed here. The financial cost to the residents is significant, and they must not be punished for blowing the whistle. And that's why I'm pleased to see a commitment made by the commissioners to the Select Committee that there would be an amnesty for the rates penalties incurred by those people withholding their rates in protest at this situation. And on the basis of those two elements, sir, I believe then there is the basis for passing this bill so that all of the ratepayers and the people of Kaipara District can move forward. And I want, sir, to read into the record now the critical paragraphs that are included in the report that accompanies this bill. that were agreed and negotiated at Select Committee. We recognise that elements of the governance of the Kaipara District Council were unsatisfactory over a period of time and led to the problems that this bill addresses. We hope this bill, while limited in scope, will contribute to a resolution of the issues so the Council and its ratepayers can move forward. We've given considerable thought to the question of penalties being waived that relate to rates withheld as part of the rates strike. Notwithstanding the legal requirement for ratepayers to pay their rates, we acknowledge that the strike came about after many people from across the district had raised concerns about the activities of the Council which do not seem to have been actioned. Section 85 of the Local Government Rating Act stipulates that a local authority may remit rates in accordance with its rates remission policy. This approach was followed by the Commissioners for the 2011 and 2012 rates. We are pleased that the Commissioners have undertaken to extend this to the 1st of January 2013 and the 1st of July 2013 rates. We support this course of action and feel that it, in conjunction with the withheld rates being paid, would go some way to resolving the situation so that the people of Kaipara District can move on. We note that the Controller and Auditor General is soon to release a report on these issues, and the report was not available to the Select Committee at the time of deliberation, but we were assured by the Auditor General's office that the bill contains nothing that interferes with or compromises the pending Auditor General's report or actions that might eventuate from it. In the interests of a fair and legitimate settlement of the matter of the Mangawhai Community Wastewater Scheme, we trust that if the Auditor General finds parties culpable, then the Government and the Council will ensure that those parties are held accountable. For the same reason, Sir, we welcome the agreement by the Kaipara District Council to implement an amnesty by way of relief of rates penalties levied on ratepayers in relation to the Mangawhai Community Wastewater Scheme from July 2012 to January 2014. And that, Mr Speaker, is the basis of, I think, a consensus hammered out by the Select Committee in good faith, in a genuine effort to try to find a resolution, albeit imperfect, to what has been a very difficult and challenging situation in the Kaipara District. I'm sure that the passage of this bill and the agreement that I've just read out will not satisfy many of the people, particularly the Mangawhai Ratepayers Association. It's the job of this Parliament to make a judgment about what's in the best interests of the rule of law, of all of the people in the Kaipara District Council, including those Mangawhai ratepayers who are so grieved. I believe that if the Government meets its part of the bargain, that if the Commissioners at Kaipara District Council stand by their commitment to hold accountable anybody that the Auditor General finds to be culpable through negligence or corruption or other forms of wrongdoing that led to the decisions that were made around the wastewater scheme, then justice will be done in this case. In the meantime, the people of Kaipara District Council have to move forward. It still is going to leave a significant financial burden as a legacy of the wastewater scheme, a burden that will lie on the shoulders of the residents both of Mangawhai and the broader district. And I know that many of those ratepayers will feel aggrieved about that. I believe, Mr Speaker, that the committee has worked hard to try to make sense of this issue and to try to strike a balanced solution that does its best to meet the interests of all the parties involved. And I want to recognise the work of Mike Sabin, the local member, who I think brought the bill to the House with the best intentions of trying to find a solution. And I want to acknowledge the chairpersonship of Nikki Wagner and the work of all of the members of the committee getting us to this point.
Speaker.
I call the honourable member